why emotionally safe relationships feel weird at first. It's not because it's wrong. What? Does that happen? Does that exist? In so many different ways. Hey friends, welcome back to the Conscious Creator Community Podcast. I am really excited about today's episode because it is something I can deeply connect with, and it is why emotionally safe relationships feel weird at first. Yep, I'm saying it. We're talking about it today. So, one of the hardest truths that people realize in healing is that healthy love can actually feel uncomfortable at first. And we talk about this in multiple other episodes, but this episode is all about this topic. And it's not because it's wrong. It's because your nervous system may have been conditioned through multiple relationships to learn that chaos means connection, or being uncomfortable means connection. But that's not true. And it shows up in so many different ways. And so we hear people today who are saying, they're too nice. It feels boring. There's no spark. I don't know if I'm attracted. How many times has that happened? I want your comments on this one because I know this has happened to many of you, and or you know people that this has happened to. But when people say that, what they're actually feeling is an unfamiliar safety. Somebody who is nice to you without wanting anything in return. Somebody who's nice to you without trying to manipulate you. What? Does that happen? Does that exist? Yes, it does exist. Safety and kindness can start to feel unfamiliar. And there is real psychology behind this, as there always is on the Conscious Creator Community Podcast. The nervous system becomes attached to what is familiar before it comes attached to what is healthy. So if you are used to being in relationships with people who take advantage of you, or with people who are sometimes kind to you and sometimes not, you're used to that yo-yo, when people just call to ask about your day, like what's wrong with them? There's probably nothing wrong with them. Your nervous system is just seeking what it's familiar with. So if you or somebody you know grew up around inconsistency, emotional unpredictability, hot and cold behavior, that yo-yo I just talked about, utter chaos, love came with conditions, calm and nice can initially feel really strange. And I think if we're being honest, again, many of us have had relationships or moments where we confused intensity with intimacy. Intimacy meaning people have relationships where they know the true you and you don't have to show up and be a clown. You can be vulnerable and yourself and it is safe. That is true intimacy. We thought anxiety was chemistry. We thought chasing and the game meant passion. We thought emotional highs and lows meant a deeper connection. But none of that is true. And nervous system activation doesn't always equal love. In fact, nervous system activation, if your body's going haywire and you're feeling anxiety, you should pay attention to that. Love probably isn't the right word to attach to that. Sometimes that is survival mode that we have learned or chosen to interpret as the big bad L word, which is actually a big beautiful L word, love. Kind of want to sing to you right now. I'm not going to. Let's talk about how social media has actually made this worse. There are toxic dynamics that get romanticized constantly. The hot and cold person. The person who shows up with these huge gestures and then doesn't show up at all. The emotionally unavailable person. That dramatic push and pull and push and pull. It's exhausting, but social media frames it up as passion. Emotional inconsistency is not intimacy. You can quote me on that. I'm going to say it again. Emotional inconsistency is not intimacy. One of the most powerful things I ever learned was this, that intensity and intimacy are not the same thing. I genuinely believe there's a lot of people out there right now that need to hear that. Intensity and intimacy are not the same things. Because healthy relationships often look quieter. I know, ick, it's so gross and boring. But healthy doesn't have to be boring and gross and and ick. Quieter can show up like consistency, emotional safety, two-way communication, reliability, calm, not yelling. What? And when somebody is used to emotional roller coasters, used to be, peace can initially feel a little boring and uncomfortable. And yes, of course, there's neuroscience showing that chronic stress and emotionally volatile conditions condition the nervous system towards heightened arousal patterns. Let me say that one again for you because that's kind of a mouthful for me. And as you're listening safely, I want to make sure you get that. Neuroscience shows that chronic stress and emotionally volatile conditions condition the nervous system towards heightened arousal patterns, which means that stable connection can literally feel unfamiliar to a body at first. I used to be really close with somebody who was emotionally volatile, and this person was and probably still is a narcissist. Hope they're not, but they probably still are. And this person told me that the two most effed up people in a room would always find each other, or the two most emotionally damaged people in a room would always find each other, because that's what your body or that's what your mind was looking for. And I always found that to be messed up in the quote itself, because they were referring to me as one of the messed up people. But it's true. It's just said in a different way. Your body seeks what it is familiar to. So if you are familiar with, again, heightened arousal patterns, volatile emotional conditioning, that's what your body is going to look for. So when you're like, why am I always dating the same person? That's why, my friends, you're dating the same person because you are seeking the same things unless you make an active effort to seek something else. Try dating somebody else. Try seeking friends who are different. It will feel uncomfortable, but it is worth it. Because unfamiliar does not mean wrong, and chaos does not mean chemistry. And healthy love, my friends, usually doesn't feel like panic. It doesn't feel like you have to chase it and you're terrified to hold on to it. I mean, let's be honest, we're all terrified in some form of love, but healthy love shouldn't feel like it's going to slip away any second. It feels safe. It feels steady. It feels emotionally breathable. And honestly, I think one of the bravest things a person can do is relearn what safety feels like after normalizing and spending years of chaos. So relearning what safety feels like, literally reprogramming yourself to learn what safety is and what safety feels like after spending years of normalizing and making excuses for and accepting chaos. That is brave. And I am so proud of every single person who tries, because it does take genuine effort. I'm telling you this from going through it myself. So if you've ever started branching out and you're questioning why this calm relationship feels so strange, maybe even boring, it doesn't necessarily mean that something is missing. It simply means that your nervous system is learning a new language. And by the way, if you are in one of those relationships, you do not need to self-sabotage to test it. You probably will. It will probably happen. There will be moments where that occurs. But I'm telling you, you don't have to. You don't have to try to introduce the chaos to make it feel comfortable and then watch it go away because that's what you expected. Give a little more trust and faith to believe in what you don't see yet. Now, friends, as always, we are so grateful that you are joining us for this episode of the Conscious Creator Community Podcast. And if this episode resonated with you, send it to somebody who needs to hear and relearn what healthy connection actually looks like. And that can be in any place. It can be in a romantic relationship. It can be in a friend relationship. It can be in a work relationship. Some people seek roles in their work life that are perpetuating a pattern that makes them feel like they're on edge all the time. Also not healthy. Also something to learn. And if you like this episode, please give it that like. Hope you're already subscribed to the Conscious Creator Community Podcast so that you're not missing our new releases. And as always, we love to get your comments and recommendations for next episodes or topics you'd like to hear. So please share those comments. We are so proud of you for making the time for yourself. We're grateful you're here listening to the Conscious Creator Community Podcast. And we can't wait to see you. Until next time.